Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Silent Knight, Ashley's Gaming, and in this video we're gonna do another tier list video. Recently a lot of people asked me about the Infinite Dreams. What is the best team to play the Infinite Dreams? Obviously it's a 4-man team. Last week I did the chest opening video and a live stream on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I sometimes go live as well, play some Dofus with you guys. So subscribe if you want to watch me play some Infinite Dreams or something else. So yeah, let's get straight into this tier list. So like I said, a lot of people ask me what is the best team. Obviously, you know the team that I'm running is a Panda, a Feka, a Ujinak, and a Masquerader. Obviously, I'm also running ranged teams as well, using a Kra and a Trough, sometimes a Feka or maybe a second Kra. You know what I'm doing. Now, I've seen people run Infinite Dreams with different compositions. This tier list is purely based on my opinion, but also takes in consideration the player base, what people play as a team in Dreams most of the time, and also what is the most efficient way. Because a small disclaimer is basically any class can do the Infinite Dreams. I've seen Kiwi do Infinite Dreams with the most weirdest compositions ever, even go chance in the Infinite Dreams instead of the agility builds that people usually do. So you can play anything, but like you could not expect to get a lot of big chests. And the bigger chests, as you know, drop the most worthy legends. So this tier list is purely based on what is the most efficient way to do the Infinite Dreams, to get you the best results possible and the biggest chance of dropping a Jahash. So I'll just start out with some classes that I play, and then we go over all the other classes as well. This tier list does not include the new Forgelands class, so I'll go over it at the end, see where I'm gonna put that one. So first of all, we have the Pandawa. It's gonna be an S tier, obviously. In Infinite Dreams, you kinda need a tank panda for placement purely. Like, most of you guys know that in the Infinite Dreams, you either go with a ranged team or a close combat team. Either way, you want a tank panda. When you're playing a ranged team, you don't want the enemies to come to your team, so the panda is just tanking them, keeping them away. But when you're playing a close combat team, you want the panda to bring the monsters to your close combat team one by one, while keeping the others a little bit away. Panda is just perfect for placement, especially if you watch my Infinite Dreams videos where I'm playing with a close combat team in like a... I'm playing with 2 characters here and then 1 at the bottom, and the top square is like empty and the panda can just throw the monsters in there. Like, it's just super chill, super easy. Definitely S tier. Next up we have the Feka, and the Feka is obviously going in S tier as well. Now, in my opinion, the Feka can both be in a ranged team or a close combat team. I'm using it in a close combat team. But when I switch to a ranged team, I'll just put a chance in on my Feka. Even though the buffs are generally agility, the chance Feka works perfectly fine in a ranged team. As for the Feka spells that are most important, it's just the shielding, the overall protection, gravity glyph. You have truths that can help you with bosses like Solar. Ataraxia can protect you. You're accumulating glyph when you're playing close combat that boosts 20% melee damage, and a lot of other spells that are really helpful when just surviving the heavy damage that you're gonna take when you're getting to those higher floors. Next up we have the Ujinak, and although the Ujinak has been nerfed, I think multiple times over the past few years, when it comes to the Infinite Dreams, it's still S tier. As you guys know, in the Infinite Dreams you focus on agility buffs because it benefits the Ujinak very well. A full agility set on it, and the stripping spell deals more damage based on the amount of allies that are around the enemy, so that's why you usually surround the enemies. Ujinak casts stripping. When you're at the higher floors with some good buffs, you can deal up to 10k damage with just a 5 AP spell. You can cast it every turn as well. So it's definitely better than Wrath from an Iop, and we will go over the Iop soon. Keep in mind that the Ujinak is only viable when you're playing a close combat team for the Infinite Dreams. Works especially fine with a Feka with the 20% extra bonus damage, and the Ujinak as well has a spell that goes with another 20% bonus damage, so it's very nice. But as for range comp, you don't want a Ujinek. Next up, we have the Masquerader, which is the conclusion of my 4-man close combat team. Before the Ujinek nerfs, people usually played double Ujinek with double stripping, but it's not possible anymore because of the global cooldown. There are still some people who play double Ujinek, but I don't. I really like the Masquerader for the simple reason, the shields. Like, obviously any class can do a lot of damage with the daggers, because my Masquerader plays in the same set as my Feka, just agility, critical damage build. So any class can basically do the damage, but the Masquerader has some insane shielding potential. And the reason why I choose the Masquerader over any other class, for example an Iop or maybe even a Hypermage or whatever, is because of the wave fights. Like, if you want the maximum amount of big chests in the Infinite Dreams, you have to do wave fights. Usually they give a big chest without even adding a second boss. But the problem is, with a lot of wave fights, you're gonna get eroded. Simple low-level bosses like Damadrya, for example, which is I think a level 50 boss or something. If you do that boss in a wave fight, I think the boss puts like 20% erosion that lasts for 8 turns. And even after the boss is dead, you're still gonna get the erosion debuff. And when you're playing a wave fight and you're gonna end up with like 1k vitality after like 2 waves or 3 waves, there's no way you're gonna make it. If there's one enemy that deals like 1k base damage, you're gone. Like, there's nothing Feka cannot even protect you then. So when playing at 1k HP, when you're eroded, the Masquerader just continuously shielding, trance, plastron. You can even use diffraction if you want to. You never die, so it's that simple. The Masquerader helped me a lot of times in situations where I would definitely have died if it wasn't for the Masquerader. So that brings a conclusion to my Infinite Dreams team, and this is also the team that most of the high-level endgame people use for the Infinite Dreams to get those 200 plus big chest runs, because it's just the most efficient team, you know? And obviously, if you want the most big chests possible, there are some rooms you cannot do with a close combat team. And Fractal is a pretty good example because of the damage reflection. It is impossible to do Fractal with a close combat team, and therefore sometimes you gotta switch to a range team, and we will go over those classes soon as well. So next up we have the Sacrier. So where are we gonna put this one? I've seen someone on the Discord who played a strength close combat team with a Sacrier. Now Sacrier do a lot of damage, they can protect themselves pretty well, nice as well. And I honestly think if you don't have an Ujinek or a Masquerader and you just want to do some casual Infinite Dreams, and you don't really want those big amounts of big chests, just see what you can do with the team you have, then I would definitely put a Sacrier in B tier. It's not bad, like, it can still work. Definitely, like I said, every class can work for the Infinite Dreams. I think it's definitely B tier. I don't know much about the Sacrier, I haven't played it myself for the Infinite Dreams. I generally don't rate the Sacrier too high for PVM in general, but as for Infinite Dreams, I would definitely put it in B tier. Next up, we have the Rogue. Now, I am gonna put the Rogue in D tier. Some of you might think it could be a little bit higher, but I don't see why you need a Rogue. I mean, it takes too much time to set up the bomb walls, and in Dreams you want to kill things quickly. Like, I can turn 1 bosses with the team above here. There's no reason why you would need a Rogue. And if you don't use bombs, the Rogue just does no damage, and there's a lot more better classes that you can pick over a Rogue. Now next up we have the Kra, and as you know, I'm using a Kra for my range team. And when you're playing a range team, so keep in mind, if you only play range team, I'm gonna put the Kra in S tier. And I was actually considering putting the Kra over here, but I have to look at the overall picture for Infinite Dreams. And because of that reason alone, I'm gonna keep the Kra in A tier. Now, like I said, if you play a range team, so you're not gonna use a Ujinek, you're not gonna use a Masquerader, maybe a Feka, then I would definitely say pick a Kra over anything else. From all the range classes, Kra is the best class. But for general, it's gonna be A tier. A tier is still good, man. If you need a class, like I said, this is the general close combat team anyone's gonna get. If you want the most efficient results, it's that simple. But as for a Kra, it's definitely a good pick. I think even when I started the Infinite Dreams, I even used a close combat set on my Kra. It still worked fine. So yeah, I would put it at A tier. Some of you might say it's S tier, but definitely not lower than A tier. Next up, we have the Anutrof, and for the same reason as the Kra, it's gonna get put in A tier. When you're playing a range team, I would definitely say pick Anutrof. If you're not going with a triple Kra at least, then definitely pick an Anutrof. Anutrof has some insane damage when you're playing agility build. Same as the Kra, they both benefit from the agility buffs quite a lot. And it also has spells like the Sacrificial Bag that can protect you. It can put like a healing chest. It can buff, debuff, range, reducing. Even if you need, you can play an MP reduction build, but I don't see that being viable because damage is more important than MP reduction. But the damage from the agility and the Anutrof is just insane. It's really good. A tier, definitely. Next up, we have the Osamodas. Now, I was watching Kiwi play Infinite Dreams recently. He played with a chance composition. I think it was a Aniripsa, Osamodas, Ekaflip as well. And not sure what the fourth class was. Maybe a Shrem. But he was just experimenting. It's not that efficient. It just takes a lot of time. I will definitely put the Osa next to the Rogue in D tier. Summons are not viable in Infinite Dreams. Like, obviously, you can bait enemies into killing the summons, but then you lose out on so much damage, and I definitely think it's not worth. Because I see Osa as more of a support, I will do the Aniripsa next up. Because I honestly think that the Aniripsa could be in B tier. The reason why I'm not putting an Aniripsa in A tier is just because you don't really need heals. There's no reason for you to pick heals. When you're playing a close combat team, the Ujinak has Prey, which heals you. When you're playing a ranged team and you're gonna pick an Anutrof, then there's an int spell that an Anutrof has that every time you hit the enemy that has the state, you're gonna get healed. So it works the same as the Prey spell from the Ujinak. So the only reason I would pick an Aniripsa is when you don't play an Anutrof or an Ujinak. And then I would say pick an Aniripsa, but other than that, the AP spell, the AP buff is pretty nice. But I would you have to play Agility Aniripsa, or maybe even Chance. I think Chance is even better. But you heal around the enemies that you hit, so either Chance or Agility. But like I said, if you're playing any rips of a damage build, you could just play an Ujinak. So yeah, but I would still put it B tier because of the AP and the power buff, all that kind of stuff. I played any Ripsa in the beginning when I started with the Infinite Dreams. It worked fine. Next up, we have the Sadida. Now, I'm not really sure where to put it. I mean, I'm not really that experienced with the Sadida after all the changes that have happened in the past couple of years. I only know how to play a strength build, probably. The infection state can be very good for wave fights, maybe. But I think Sadie is gonna get put in C tier. I just don't think he does enough damage to be that efficient in the Infinite Dreams. Honestly, maybe low floors it's fine, but when you go to 300 plus, I definitely don't see Sadida being efficient in there. Now, next up we have the Iop and the Eliotrope, and I'm gonna actually pull my camera to the right side so you can see which classes are left. I'm gonna rate the Iop and the Elio at the same time. If you have to rate them separately, I would put the Eliotrope in A tier, and I will put the Iop in C tier probably. Because an Iop without an Eliotrope is just an Iop. Like, what can an Iop do without an Eliotrope? And it's so sad, because Iop back in the days, it was the best damage class in the game. You had the Wrath. You had Sword of Faith, the intelligence spell that dealt damage based on erosion. And you had Duel, which still exists, but back in the days, it also dealt damage based on erosion, and those spells combined were just so strong. It was the best damage class in game. Now, I honestly think that if you don't count Wrath, Iop is one of the weakest classes in the game. I honestly think even a P.E.K.K.A in close combat build does more damage just because of the accumulating glyph. Same with the Ujinak. Ujinak definitely deals a lot more damage than an Iop, because Ujinak can do stripping every single turn and do 10k damage. Like, Iop cannot do that. And with Iop as well, the agility spells are not really that good in the Infinite Dreams. Even when you're playing with Heliotrope, you are pretty much forced to play strength. And because of that reason, I don't rate the Iop that high. But, however, I said that I will rate them together. And I will put them in A tier. Together as a duo, Elio Iop, and most of the time people play Enutrof as a fourth character, or maybe even Aniripsa. Together they are strong. A friend of mine does the Infinite Dreams. He has pretty good buffs. At the moment, I think even higher than in my last run. He focused fully on agility and power, obviously. But his Iop is still strength, and he's still managing to do bosses that even I struggle with sometimes. But like with the Iop Elio combo, you can stay at range and still bleach monsters, even though you focus on agility buff. The Wrath is pretty strong through portals, as well as the concentration and all the other strength spells. You can even play with erosion, with pressure. You can buff your team. So yeah, together they will definitely be A tier. If you're playing them, I highly advise to either take a Enutrof or an Aniripsa as a fourth character. Next up, we have the Foggernaut. I don't play Foggernaut in the Infinite Dreams yet. I plan to do a run soon where I focus only on buffs, and then I will do a full run after floor 400. So like up to 1000 or something. But before that, I need a Foggernaut. At the higher floors, sometimes you wanna like lock bosses away or lock certain monsters in a corner, and using the turrets from the Foggernaut is really a nice way to do that. You can also buff your team with AP. I think you can even buff power. You can also heal and do great damage with ambush and the harpooner and all that kind of stuff. I also seen high level Infinite Dreams players who play with a range composition use a Foggernaut. So I would definitely put a Foggernaut in A tier when you're playing with a range team. And honestly, the same goes for the Hypermage. I'm gonna put Hypermage in A tier as well. Only when you're playing a range team though. When you're playing a CC team, I would put it like, probably like C tier, even though someone in the Discord is currently playing with a Hypermage instead of a Masquerader. So he plays Panda, P.E.K.K.A, and then he plays Hypermage to do the buff with the runes, and then he plays Ujinak last. But that's for a range team. I definitely I'll maybe put it in a B tier though. Because when I see a range team, I think of a Kra is a must-have. But then probably a Foggernaut and an Enutrof. So if a Hypermage would come after that, I'm gonna put it in B tier, honestly. Because I do think a Foggernaut is more viable than a Hypermage, so they can be in the same tier. Okay, we're gonna speed these last 4 characters because I want to get this video done in under 30 minutes. So next up we have the Shrem, and I'm gonna put the Shrem in C tier. Now, invisibility is broken in a bad way in the Infinite Dreams. Like, I've played Shrem one time. Was for a wave fight. I think it was... No, it wasn't even in Dreams. It was in the dungeon. The King... No, it was in Queen Amirukam dungeon. I tried trio. And every time I was invisible, even when I played with the invisible glyph, the monsters could just find me. Like, even when I used like 8 MP, I was just getting found every single turn, taking a lot of damage. Agility build is not really that viable because of poisons. Who uses poisons? Like, you just want to kill enemies quick. Strength is pretty strong. So if you're playing a strength team in Infinite Dreams, maybe with a Sacrier, maybe you can use a Shram. But I don't see Shram being that viable because the invisibility is just not that great. And next up we have the Xelor, and the Xelor I'm gonna put in D tier. Same with the Rogue and the Osamodas. It's just I see Xelor more as a PvP character with all the teleglyph and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to use that much teleglyph stuff and all that in Infinite Dreams. You just want to straight up do damage, kill monsters quickly. That's why I put the Xelor in the lowest tier. Next up we have the Eka Flip, and I'm gonna put the Eka Flip in the same tier as the Shram and the Sadi. And why is that? Because I don't see Eka Flip being viable either. Like, it's either you go with a close combat team or you go with a full range composition. Now, Eka Flip is more of a medium range character in my opinion. Like, obviously it has long range spells when you play Int, and it has more of close combat spells when you play Strength or even Agility. And Chance is more of a medium range build. I did mention playing Agility quite often during this video, because I honestly say to everyone to always focus on Agility buffs in Infinite Dreams. The reason for that is when you get stuck, assuming your panda is the Dreams owner, when you have Agility buffs, then there's always people around that can help you out with the room. But when you go by Int buffs, like Chance buffs, Strength buffs, everything, and your buffs are pretty divided and you need help for a hard room, it's gonna be a lot harder for anyone to help you. Like, my advice is to always get your panda the Dreams owner, and to do that your panda needs to get quite some achievements. Like, I advise people to do 10k achievements on panda and then start with the Infinite Dreams to have at least done every single dungeon in the game, except for maybe Eternal Conflict. Those higher dungeons you're not gonna do them in Dreams anyways. At least have done every single dungeon in the game. But the thing is, when you want to buy buffs or add bosses, you most of the time need to have done certain achievements depending on the boss that you did in the room before that. But yeah, I highly suggest people to make Panda Dreams owner and stack Agility buffs. Even when you're playing Elio Iop and Iop is Strength, don't care. Don't buy Strength buffs, just get Agility buffs. When you get stuck, there's always a team with a Ujinek or Veka that can help you. And that's the reason why I put the Eka Flip in the C tier. Agility build is not viable. And the other builds like Chance and Int are just like medium range builds. You are far better off taking a Kra, an Enutrof, or a Foggernaut. That's just a fact. So lastly, we have the Forged Lens class, which I don't have a picture here because this tier list is quite outdated. But yeah, we have a new class since last month, and it's the Forged Lens class. I did play it on the beta server. I did play it on the regular server as well. I already have it level 200. I've tried multiple builds. I think for regular PVM, Agility build is pretty nice, or Chance build when you play more of a range type build. Strength is useless. Intelligence only viable when you're playing crit build. So I would put the Forged Lens class next to the Hyper Mage, because I think they are pretty look-alike. The way they do damage, the way you have to use the lens to do damage, and the way they play around the battlefield, I think they are pretty similar to a Hyper Mage. Though I think the Hyper Mage has a slight edge above the new class because of the possibility for a Hyper Mage to get that extra damage bonus on the enemies. Although, saying that, I know in fact that the Forged Lens class can do that as well. I do not quite know the percentages from the top of my head, but the Forged Lens class has an intelligence spell that I think it's 7% more damage sustained on the enemies. So I don't know what the percentage from the Hyper Mage is. I think it was 20%, but it could be 15 as well. If that's true, then the Hyper Mage has a slight edge, but the Forged Lens class is definitely gonna get put in B tier. Because I think it's better for Infinite Dreams than the Sadi, Shram, and Eka Flip. So let me know what you guys think of this tier list. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. In the description below, I will link down my general PVM tier list that I did a couple of months ago. And I will definitely make a new one for normal PVM for like a 2023 edition, because a lot has changed since I did that video. But I will still put it in the description below. So if you have any questions regarding the Infinite Dreams, I will also put the full Infinite Dreams guide in the description below. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and bye.